What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilkin. I'm coming back with another Dragon Ball Daima review. Now, episode 11 was an interesting one. Let's just get into the raw numbers before we get in the full synopsis here, because I'm going to be a little critical of this episode, and I'll explain why. First of all, story-wise, well, you know what? Let's do just the animation, because I think we can all agree here. When we first got the fight with the third Tamagami and Goku, that fight was insane. That fight was well animated. I mean, you could tell the amount of love and care and concern they put into that episode. And it makes sense. Like, it's the first real big boss level fight of the series. Makes sense, right? Level it up. But in this episode, we get two more Tamagami fights between Majin Buu and between, and I did not mispronounce that. If you've not watched the episode, go watch the episode. You're going to get some mad spoilers here. Tamagami 1 fought Majin Buu, and Tamagami 2 fought Vegeta. Now, the honest answer here is they explain what the Tamagamis are, they explain what their purpose is and all that, and I'm not mad about that. But what I'm a little disappointed by is the level of animation. Now, it wasn't bad, but it was nowhere near what we got a couple episodes ago when we first got the first fight with Goku and the Tamagamis. I wanted something a little more grandiose. I don't want it to just be another episode like what we've seen. I don't want this to be just another, I don't want the bar fight between Vegeta and the randos who had no bearing on the story whatsoever to look better than this episode. And I felt like it did. So I'm going to give the animation 3 points off. I'm going to be harsh as can be. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And I know that's probably pretty harsh because overall the animation looks gorgeous. They have, and I've talked about it multiple times, they have really brought the older style of Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball is a pretty dated style, but they've really brought it into the fold, I think, in a way that no other Dragon Ball franchise really has done, with maybe the exception of Heroes, but even that is just kind of its own weird thing. But if I'm completely honest here, I wanted more, and I was a little let down with what we got. I feel like Toei could do way better with this. Honestly, I feel like they absolutely could pull all the stops and make this just as, if not just as beautiful, maybe like one step down from that episode we got with Goku and Tamagami 3. So I'm going to take 3 points off. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Sound-wise, it was fine. 9 out of 10. Nothing really egregious. Nothing, too crazy. I understand why Majin Buu does what he does and the sound effects that he and Ku have. And it does emulate quite a bit what Buu represented for Dragon Ball Z when he first came into the series. Some of them, though, are a bit jarring and a bit, I know he's a comedic character, but a bit too comedic, if that's a fair assessment. So I'd take 1 point off. So I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. But still a fantastic score. Story. I'm going to take 2 points off and give it an 8 out of 10. And let me kind of explain my thought process here. So it wasn't, 2 episodes ago with the fight with Goku and the Tamagamis. And these really seem to be the fights that are really going to be the groundbreaking measures here between where we started off this franchise, or where we started off this season, and where the season needs to go, or where the series needs to go in order to resolve this overall conflict. And I understand natively what's going to happen here is they're going to get the second Dragon Ball, and then they're going to have to go find the first Dragon Ball because Tamagami 1's going to get beaten by Majin Buu and whatever. That said, or probably what's going to wind up happening is Doo's going to have to absorb Ku, and then they're going to be Majin Buu or whatever. Doesn't matter. It's ultimately fairly irrelevant. What we are looking at, however, what I think is a big problem here with this episode versus a lot of the other episodes is the first half of the series drug its heels and didn't do a whole lot. You'd get lots of exposition, lots of just unnecessary plot dynamics, things that could have been, 2 or 3 episodes were like half the series. Then we've jumped in 2 episodes from like the biggest fight in the series to now the Tamagamis are just the villain of the week. And narratively, I think it's a slight disservice. I won't call the episode a letdown. Not by a long shot. But I will call this probably one of the weaker episodes. I think this is probably the second weakest episode in the whole series, or a whole season. Whatever you want to call it, at the moment. Second weakest. And we've had a couple of weak episodes, not horrible, but once again, there's no crime in wanting more, right? So let's get into the plot synopsis, because there's a little bit to discuss here. And we kind of open up with where we ended last season, where Neva, the old Namek that they met in the Demon Realm, the one that actually helped Goma basically capture Dende, he's approaching the ship, and he just kind of becomes an exposition machine. And he explains a little bit about the history of the Nameks and why he made the Dragon Balls, and every once in a while he just spits out a piece of just lore for kind of reasons. Like it's not always like a clearly defined reason. Sometimes he just spits out lore. So it all makes sense and it's all very logical, but he's just kind of used as a quick and easy exposition machine. Now, I do love the fact that he makes a very valid point. He needs to come along with them because who knows the native Namekian language? Oh, wait, shouldn't Piccolo know that? And they kind of mentioned that in the episode, but Piccolo's like, no, I've lived on Earth too long, I've completely forgotten. However, it has not been but 10 years since he absorbed Nail, who should know that stuff natively, and canonically they have already proven that some of those memories and all that muscle memory and all that stuff, basically portions of Nail's memory should be infused into Piccolo's memory. So Piccolo has every reason to know the native Namekian language. Why he doesn't? Plot convenience. It's not unlike Toriyama to forget a really small detail like that, but I kind of expect a little better out of the series at this point. Nevertheless, it's a convenient reason to get Neva to come on the ship and just kind of join them on their mission. And I just love how chill this guy is. Like, he is just like, dude is as unbothered as anyone could ever be. He is a walking, talking avatar for the entire idea of being unbothered. This guy is great, and I love him. I strive to be this unbothered about everything. And even when they run into the Tamagami's like talking to Vegeta, and he's like, are you serious? You're a kid. Get out of here. And he sees Neva, and he's like, oh, you are serious? All right, cool. Like, it's just an interesting moment. Like, Neva, I don't know if he's super important to this. It is an interesting, like, deviation, because at the beginning of this he was kind of framed as a little more sinister, and now he's just kind of old guy who does old guy things. But I do kind of appreciate it in a way, so I'm enjoying that little aspect of this. But he joins the crew, and just more or less they discuss what their next move is, which is to go find Tamagami 2. And when we cut away to Marba and all them actually creating a new Majin, because Majin Ku wasn't good enough. Majin Ku kind of was a mistake, like, and that's another reason I get the feeling the Majin Ku is going to wind up getting absorbed by Majin Doo. But Marba mentioned, she's like, okay, well, this time we need to bury the seed like 10 centimeters deeper. And Dr. Risu, she's just like, make it 20. Like, just make it so. Like, we have there is no third chance. It's either this works or it doesn't. And we do know now that after some back and forth and all that stuff, that Majin Doo is now is born. And Majin Doo is interesting. So essentially, and to kind of jump way the heck ahead, but Majin Doo actually goes and fights Tamagami 1, which we kind of have already discussed. And the difference between Majin Buu and Majin Doo fighting, Majin Doo is kind of reminiscent of Kid Buu. He's very he plays everything very fast and loose. There's no forethought. All his movements are very childlike and very silly, but he doesn't seem to have a plan, and because of that, there's not much you can do to overthink what he's doing. So while Tamagami 1 is facing off against Majin Doo, Tamagami 2 is facing off against Vegeta, and their fight is a lot more serious, and their fight is, I love the way Vegeta's facing this, because Goku went there, it's just the difference between Goku and Vegeta. Goku went there to have fun, he was enjoying the fight and all this. Vegeta very much takes it very seriously. He's like, we're here to win. He doesn't play around. He's just, yes, he enjoys the fight, make no mistake, and he argues with Goku early in the episode to have that opportunity to fight because he enjoys the thrill of the battle. However, the way they fight is completely different, and that is just one of the big changes between Goku and Vegeta here, and that is Vegeta absolutely is not holding back, not playing around, and just goes all out. And because of that, Tamagami 2 winds up knocking him into the water. And when that happens, we get the entrance of the Kraken, and there's seemingly a little back and forth between Vegeta and the Kraken. They exchange gaze, and the Kraken is chasing Vegeta now. But Vegeta powers up and just kind of flies up in the air, and Tamagami 2 knocks him back down, at which point he gets eaten by the Kraken. Now, that is where the episode ends, but let me tell you, this is another one of my narrative problems with the series. They've already tried to build the Krakens as a legitimate threat, except Goku easily escaped one, and we already know that Vegeta, even no matter what the preview at the end of this is trying to achieve, Vegeta's not gone Super Saiyan yet. This probably will be the moment where he will, or he will somewhere in the fight, but Vegeta should easily be able to escape this thing. It's got no arms, it's got no legs, it's a big jellyfish with a head and a few teeth. So I think it's pretty obvious that Vegeta's 100% going to escape. I think this is a failed attempt at creating tension when there really isn't any honest inherent tension, if I'm completely frank. That's another reason why narratively I just took a few points away. I want this episode to be better, and it just isn't, but I don't know of a way to fix it, because most of the stuff that's wrong with the episode is intrinsic to the episode itself. So that's my review of Dragon Ball Daima episode 11. A little bit of a letdown, I will not lie. Not terrible, it's still a well above average and phenomenal show, but a rare episode that just kind of left me wanting more. And if I'm being too critical, you guys let me know in the comments. That's completely plausible, and that is completely an opinion that I would validate. Maybe I am being too critical. But I feel like narratively we've had so much better through this series, and I think this series deserves and knows how to do better than this, and I want it to do better than this. So that's my opinion. That's my take. Toasty as that take might be in general. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment. Let me know if you think I'm being too harsh or if you agree with my criticisms. Other than that, I'll catch you guys for the next Dragon Ball Daima review next week for episode 12.